NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, or WISE, has captured a favorite observing target of amateur astronomers, the Omega Centauri. Also known as NGC 5139, this celestial cluster of stars can be found in the constellation Centaurus and can also be seen by the naked eye to observers at low northern altitudes and in the southern hemisphere. Omega Centauri contains approximately 10 million stars and is about 16,000 light-years away. The ancient astronomer Ptolemy thought that the Omega Centauri was a star, and Edmond Halley identified it as a nebula in 1677. In the 1830s, John Herschel identified it as a globular star cluster orbiting our Milky Way galaxy. A globular cluster is a spherical group of stars that are bound together by gravity. Omega Centauri has always been the black sheep of globular clusters, since it has several characteristics that mark it as different from the typical globular cluster. For example, Omega Centauri is 10 times more massive than other globular clusters. It also includes stars of a variety of ages, whereas other globular clusters contain stars from only one generation. It may be that Omega Centauri is something else, a remnant core of a small galaxy that was absorbed by the Milky Way galaxy in the distant past. And despite all of these stars, scientists released a study in 2018 that said that the Omega Centauri is probably not home to life. Stars pack so tightly inside Omega Centauri that the average distance between stars in the cluster's core is 0.16 light-years, much closer than the Sun's nearest neighbor, Proxima Centauri, at 4.25 light-years. Scientists concluded that stars in Omega Centauri would gravitationally interact with each other too frequently to harbor stable habitable planets. Recent research based on observations using NASA's Hubble Space Telescope and the Gemini Observatory indicates that there is a black hole at the center of the Omega Centauri. This suggests that the Omega Centauri may actually be a dwarf galaxy that has been stripped of its outer stars and not a globular cluster after all. All 4 infrared detectors aboard WISE were used to create a mosaic image of Omega Centauri. The colors blue and cyan within the image represent light emitted from stars at wavelengths of 3.4 and 4.6 microns. There is also a green halo that can be seen surrounding the center, representing light at 12 microns, emitted by warm dust. From the southern hemisphere, Omega Centauri appears much higher in the sky and is a glorious sight. If you're in the northern hemisphere and want to spot this cluster, know that Omega Centauri can only be seen at certain times of the year. It is best seen in the evening sky from the northern hemisphere on late April, May, and June evenings. Around mid-May, this wondrous star cluster is highest up and due south around 11 p.m. local daylight saving time. By mid-June, Omega Centauri is highest up and due south around 10 p.m. local daylight saving time. Northern Hemisphere residents can see Omega Centauri from January through April as well, but they must be willing to stay up past midnight or even get up before dawn. Spica, the largest and brightest star in the constellation Virgo, serves as your guide star to the Omega Centauri. When Spica and Omega Centauri transit, appear due south, and reach the highest point in the sky, they do so in unison. However, Omega Centauri transits about 35 degrees south of or below the sparkling blue-white Spica. For reference, your fist at arm's length approximates 10 degrees of the sky. You can find Spica by following the arc in the handle of the Big Dipper. At 16,000 to 18,000 light years, Omega Centauri is one of the few of the galaxy's 200 or so globular clusters that is visible to the naked eye. It looks like a faint fuzzy star, but Omega Centauri's mere presence testifies to its size and sheer brilliance. Like any globular cluster, Omega Centauri is best appreciated with the help of a telescope. Thanks for watching till the end of this video. If you liked it, please do subscribe to our channel